How can one understand the concept of time? Well, this question was a bit cheeky to answer, but I told people, why bother your mind with such complex concepts that are unfathomable to the mind? Well, we can explain certain things and it will try to understand, but whatever is beyond the mind, only a minification of it can the mind understand. And I was asked, is time linear? Is time circular? Because there are sources here, there are sources there. See, I told them a lot of the science nowadays is just pure interpretation. Nobody has seen time to see how it functions, what it is. And you can measure time only because you have invented some measurements of time. Yes? Because in the end, no one has touched time. Yes? Time does not touch you, you do not touch time. Yes? You do not see time. You do not perceive time. Yes? You cannot perceive it. You perceive the daily cycles. Yes? And they help us in the end design the concept of time or something that we can measure time by. And well, time obviously functions in cycles. Everything is physical in this cosmos, yes? To certain degrees of physicality, from very dense to very subtle, but everything in this cosmos is physical up to a certain extent. What goes beyond the physical is no longer part of this cosmos, but of higher layers of this cosmos. And, well, explanations can get a bit fuzzy. But when it comes to everything that is physical, physicality means boundaries, yes? It starts somewhere, it ends somewhere. That's why you speak of dimensions. What you speak as height, width, length, they're all the same thing. It starts somewhere, it ends somewhere. Similarly, time is like that, yes? You can look at time as a linear thing. You can look at time as a cyclical thing. It is of little to no importance. It doesn't change anything. Time is relative, is the best thing you can think about time mentally. Because in the end, how you perceive time differs on your emotions, first and foremost. You do something that you like, you look at the clock, 5 minutes seems to have passed, the clock says nope, it's 3 hours that have passed, right? You do something that is extremely boring, you look at the watch, it says like 5 minutes have passed, barely half a minute, yes? So, from that standpoint, emotionally speaking, time is very relative. That is why I'm saying you cannot touch time. Time does not touch you, but you can feel the passing of time within your physical body. Yes? And not because you're getting older. See, science has been fooling around with truths that it could not comprehend, so it obviously interpreted certain things, hoping that sooner or later technology will evolve enough that those interpretations will actually become pieces of truth and they will become corrected or supported, depending on whether they were interpreted correctly or not. Because the physical body that you have does not age necessarily because time is passing. Yes? It is aging because your life technically is leaking away. If you want to understand your life, imagine yourself like a balloon and you're slowly leaking air. Very, very slowly. What is aging you is everything that is putting a dent on you. Your depressions, your anger, your guilt, your remorse, everything that is pissing you off, everything that is controlling you, everything that is throwing you off balance, slowly and surely it is aging you way more than time passing by. Because your physical body remembers everything. It gets clogged in time with all the bad memories that you have. And that is why, in time, when you become comfortable with those pieces of memory and with acquiring those pieces of memory and reinforcing those pieces of memory and repeating those pieces of memory, that is why it is extremely difficult to give up an obsession. It's not because of the obsession itself, it is because of you having embraced that um, karmic structure. Because when you look at an obsession, it is nothing else than a conviction. Yes? You're convinced that without that, your life is shit, or your life is in real mortal danger. Initially, your obsession was a defensive shield, yes, against boredom, or against bullying, or against loneliness. But as time passed, that problem kind of vanished from your life. But you got yourself so used to it that you're still perpetrating it. Yes? You can simply say, well, I'm no longer gonna smoke. But the problem is, you've repeated that cyclically so much time. You've reinforced that karmic cycle so much that your memory within your body never forgets anything. So you might actually say, well, I'm not gonna drink, I'm not gonna smoke today. Time may pass, 2 or 3 days, weeks, but sooner or later, your memory will try to imprint itself on you. Based on how much you can keep yourself comfortable, well, that is a problem. Because if you keep yourself comfortable, your lower nature will kick in. All your memories, all your obsessions will try to kick back into your life. If you're not capable of indulging consciously into things, if you're not having discipline enough, you're gonna be a victim sooner or later of your obsessions. Everything is cyclical. An obsession means you've done it so much that you've just hastened the cycle. That is why it repeats so quickly compared to other things. Yes? So in life, when you look at time, time is very relative because let's compare it to some fictitious characters. Let's take, for example, world's favorite. Let's take, for example, Frieren, yes, from The Journey's End. She is an elf, and according to the lore, she can live for thousands of years. We don't know exactly how much, but she lived for around 1000 years, at least. And only after that many years did she finally start thinking about wanting to have learned more about her previous team. Yes? And it took her 1000 years. For humans who live way less, that is way faster. But when you look at it, there seems to be a certain correlation because consciousness follows the same rhythms. Yes, someone lives 5000 years. Well, their childhood, their adolescence, their adulthood will usually have a certain will follow the same principle, the same matter, the same pattern, let's say, from a certain percentage standpoint. Yes? If someone lives 10 times longer than a human, most likely their childhood will not be 10 years, will probably be 100 years. If someone lives 10,000 years, as maybe Frieren can live, it's obvious that her childhood may be 1000 years. Now, at the same time, when it comes to life, if it is highly repetitive, you're not gonna do anything else. The only thing hastening your evolution is challenge. When you're challenged from an early life, obviously you will learn way more things. By the time you reach a moment when people generally start learning some things, you're already well developed mentally and psychologically. You're way more durable. Yes, you can see clearly that in people who have gone through emotional abuse ever since they were children, or ever since they were abused in school, not just in their own family, or, well, close relatives and the such. You will see those people will always be more in tune with things, more self destructive in a way, more tired than the most because they're always stuck in an idea of survival, in an idea of analyzing everything for potential dangers. While others, they just live life, they don't care about anything, they're just oblivious to everything. Yes? When we look, for example, at, let's say, Q from Star Trek, he is part of the continuum, yes? Or in sci fi, the continuum is the space or the dimension that lies beyond this cosmos, with Q and other few humans being what would be represented as the creators of this cosmos, yes? And if you look at Q, he is as old, well, even older than this current cosmos. He's capable of talking with Picard about all the hideous things that humanity has done, as well as all the awesome things, the ingenious things that humanity has done. He is interested in helping humans, make sure that they have a smooth journey or sailing, let's say, on the seas of the cosmos. Yes, he even challenges Picard and knows that he'll be stubborn and gives him a worthy challenge, a tap on the shoulder from the part of creation, yes, that no other race got to encounter so early. Yes? But when you look at him, he's capable of talking about the greatest teachings of humanity and the greatest deeds and the worst of deeds of humanity with Picard. But at the same time, he's vengeful. His mind is just like a child. He cheats around in the cosmos, using his own godly powers against beings that he doesn't like. Yes? Until one day he gets banished from there. And, for a short episode, he gets to experience life as a full human, not being able to comprehend anything about what it is like to actually live life in a cosmos, not as a cosmic being. Yes? So, life, depending on how long you live, it doesn't mean that you will develop faster or not. Think, for example, at Baby Yoda. Well, Yoda himself was said to have died at around 900 years. Baby Yoda is said to be around 50-ish years, but is still a baby. He's still a child. He's still learning. But the fact that he had a very turbulent life along the Mandalorian, yes, he got to start using his powers way earlier in life. Maybe if he was born on their own planet and they had nothing special happening in their life, maybe that would have happened at 200, probably even 300 years of age. Yes, but thanks to his adventures with the Mandalorian, he developed his awareness about the world and his potential, latent psionic powers developed much earlier. Yes. The same happens with children who are way more challenged than others. Because life will find a way to develop regardless of your age, regardless of how long you live. Longer lifespan usually means you're not necessarily gonna experience way more. Yes? Because it doesn't matter how much you experience. Because you can live 5 million years. But the point is very simple. Your awareness develops in time. Yes? So a being that may live 5 million years may reach the same level of awareness that, let's say, yes, a regular, not necessarily regular human, let's say someone who's way more aware, yes, a more aware human will reach. Yes, they will start life as a child, fully stuck in development, in survival, and in time they will become, let's say, demi-awakened. Yes, a creature of 5 million years without much of a challenge might actually end up at the same level. Yes, because how much you achieve in a certain life depends on whether you live in an environment that will challenge you or whether you live in a lazy environment where you have access to everything. So you don't need to bother yourself with survival, with dense emotions, with competition and the such. Yes? There have been numerous experiments done on animals. So you don't have to bother yourself. Don't bother yourself with concepts beyond the mind. You're only going to get some interpretation of those. When you look at time, time is nothing else but a cycle. When time goes in a linear way, nothing much happens. When a curvature happens in time, that's when you get physicality. Because a curvature in time means a cycle has started, and obviously sooner or later it will end. So it started, sooner or later, so it will end. Yes? So time is something that you can look at in a linear way. Because when you look at time, it doesn't seem to go back. It doesn't seem to go leftwards. It doesn't seem to go rightwards in your life. Yes? Your life choices might make you think that you're not going in the right direction. Yes? But your direction in life is not the same as time. Yes? Time goes by, irrespective of what you're doing in life. Because even being lazy is doing something. Not doing something is still doing something. Yes? So, time is what it is. Nobody needs to bother their mind with the such. Because even if you become fully awakened and you understand all the principalities of time and the such, all the principles of time, well, the question is, will it cure your hunger? No. Will it cure your seeking for even more wisdom? No, definitely not. So do not bother your brain, do not bother your mind with all these irrelevant concepts because they're going to give you a fake sensation of enlightenment. They're going to give you a certain sense of power because you know more. But these bits of knowledge can easily become traps of awareness, where you think you're becoming something greater just because you know more. Now you know this. Tomorrow you may have already forgotten it. And not only forgotten it, but also you're not even gonna remember most likely. This happens a lot to people who fill their mind with a lot of jibber jabber, with a lot of doom scrolling. Whatever they do today, they doom scroll, then they doom scroll at night, tomorrow they will doom scroll. In 3 or 4 days, they're not going to remember anything about today. Yes? So, this is the nature of time. Time simply exists. You are a consequence of time. Yes? You are something that lives a long time. Yes? You live thanks to it, through it. Time in this dense dimension, here in this cosmos, functions in a certain way. In the fifth dimension, it functions in a different way, even if they're telling you that there is no time in there. Oh, I assure you there is time. Those beings are also physical, way denser, way less dense, yes, very subtle, much more subtle than we are, but still they have their own time. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You're appreciated, take care, enjoy life. This being said, Ferenc Jan Board signing out.